Hey everybody, this is Dan from userspice.com. You may have noticed in a few of the videos that I had some code that showed about making a message, marking it as unread. And what happened was I recorded that video and the sound got messed up, so I'm back from the future. I stripped that code out and decided to come back in here and write this in front of you guys. So we're gonna do that. So if you guys remember, you will see that in the database we have our messages, and the messages have a message read 0 or 1 thing. So what we want to do is we want the ability to manipulate that manually, and we might even get a little bit of conditional logic in there. So let's just try this. Let's put another row of buttons above the message itself. So let's say div class equals row, and inside of that let's just make a little button on the left side. So div class equals call small 2 is fine. So anyway, all we did was we made a little column. It's a bootstrap thing, this isn't a PHP thing, but localhost messages, there we go. So alright, what did I do here? Let's see, message dot, whoa, I don't know what that is. Oh, because I'm not logged in. Haha. Okay, so if you come in here and you click on our messages, which you should have this feature by now, basically I made a thing and this is the column. So what we're going to do is we are going to just stick a little form in that thing. So if you're using Atom, one of the cool things I like, you just type in form and then hit tab and you're going to get your entire form created. So well, we don't really need to put a class there, but what we do want to do is make sure that we put this in here. So we want message.php, and then because every time you visit message.php, it has an ID in the heading, you want to make sure that that ID is pulled back in there. So if you're not understanding what I'm doing, when you come here to this thing, it says ID equals 6, and so you need to make sure that that ID stays in there so that when you post the page, it knows what ID it is. And so every time the page is loaded, the first thing it does is grabs this ID, and so we're gonna echo this ID in here. So it's just gonna say message equals ID equals 6 and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we have form, and then let's do input. We'll just put an input type equals button, or we'll do submit, and we will say the name is mark read, and the value we'll say mark as read, like that. Okay, so about the simplest form you can get is basically a form and a submit button. So let's come up here and let's look at this. Let's if not empty post, we'll use one of my favorite functions here, which is D&D. If I could type, it's cold again, it's morning in Alaska. So dump and die post, and so when you see post, just go ahead and dump it to the page and kill the page. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back here and we're going to refresh this page. So now we have this button, mark as read, and then when I mark as read, it's going to show me that what is in the form is a button called mark read, and it has this string mark as read. So what I can actually do now is I can grab that and I can say, so I could actually say, let's try this again, let's make sure we're getting the right thing. I can come in here and say if not empty post mark read. Let's see what happens there. Got an extra bracket there. If not empty post mark read. That looks, something doesn't look right, but we're going to refresh it anyway and see what happens. Okay, so what we want to get rid of post. If I hit mark read, so good, we're still seeing it. So what I did there is wanted to make sure that the only way that this thing triggers off is if not if any post is posted, but if actual post mark read, and it's getting that mark read from the submit button. So I could also do something like class equals, let's get here, I think it's just btn, something like that, add that in there and refresh the page, and you'll see probably the same thing. If I hit enter, you'll see this. Now I have a big red mark as read button. So now what we want to do is, we know that if we come to our database, we're going to see that there's a column in here called message read. And so what if we did this? So let's say, because we're only doing one thing, I'm going to show you the shortcut. We're going to do the shortcut thing like we did on here. So in fact, I'm just going to copy this. So if you post that, then what I wanted to do is I wanted to go to the database and update the messages table, and I want you to put in the message ID that we're talking about, which could actually just be ID, but anyway, we have message ID. And then I want you to take the message read and mark it as, which actually we're trying to mark unread. I don't know what I'm talking about. So this should be unread. I'm sure you guys all knew that. And we'll make this unread here. So yeah, we want to mark this as unread. If you, the minute you open it, it marks it as read. So if not empty post mark unread, then go into the database and update the messages table, the message that we're talking about, and change message read from unread to read. And then, so we could redirect, and let's go ahead and redirect. See, the problem is, okay, so the problem is right now is that every time you view this page, it's going to mark the message as read. So what we want to do, let's think about this. Let's redirect them for now back to messages. Messages.php, and then we're going to pass them a message, and we're going to say message is now unread. I don't need the exclamation point, it's not really that exciting. I'll put some pluses in between here because you can't just leave a bunch of spaces in your get variable. So we may come back there and make that logic a little slicker, but right now what we want to do, and if you miss that, basically what happens is just the act of loading the page is going to mark the message as read. So what would happen would be, if I would come in here and mark this as unread, it would refresh the page and then would mark the message as unread, and that's not what we're trying to accomplish. So we're gonna just go ahead and redirect them out of this page, and like I said, we may come up with something slicker in the future, but this is a good start just to show you how to update the database like this. So I'm gonna save this page, and we're gonna go back to our project, and let's go to all of our messages, and you'll see that this message is marked as read. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna come in here and we're gonna tell it to mark it as unread, and now we're redirected back to our page. Message is now unread, and it's all good to go. So that's the basics of the logic of getting that part working. And then this is still going to work. So when I click this and come back here, now this one is marked read, and I can come in here and mark it as unread and get sent back to the thing. So it's a little bit of a jump in logic to assume that when somebody wants to mark a message as unread that they want to leave it. But you know, it's a start. I'm an amateur, so hope you enjoy that, and we'll make another video soon.